Hey everyone, it's Debra Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, Ageless, and the Awake Method. And thanks for being with me this Saturday, because there is something quietly extraordinary happening in the world right now. You may have seen the images, or maybe you felt it before you saw it. Monks walking, their robes brushing against the pavement, some of the pavement covered in snow. No signs, no shouting, no agenda, no demands, just presence. They're simply walking for peace. And what's even more remarkable is what's happening around them. People are stopping and crying and bowing their heads with their palms pressed together, and children and the disabled falling in step behind them, being pushed in their wheelchairs, sometimes for moments, sometimes for miles. Even police officers and state troopers, men and women whose jobs require armor, literal and emotional. But they're standing still as these monks pass, many with tears in their eyes. So you might ask why? And my answer is because we are longing, we are aching to be in the energy of love. Not the idea of love, not the slogan of love, but the frequency of love. The kind of love that doesn't need to be right, that doesn't want to argue, the kind of love that doesn't posture, the kind of love that doesn't need to convince anybody about anything. Just love. Just love that is. And when we encounter it, when we feel it embodied, walking right in front of us, something inside us shifts. Something ancient wakes up. Something says, oh, this. You know, with the images that have been bombarding our screens, this is what we've been missing. And yet, let's be honest, it's hard to love right now. It's hard to love when it appears that some people are acting with such cruelty, such disregard, such seemingly unfeeling motives, causing harm simply to cause harm. It's hard to love when policies and words and actions feel designed to divide and demean and dehumanize. It's hard to love when the suffering feels intentionally inflicted. So let me say this clearly. You are not failing spiritually if you feel distressed, if you feel angry. You are not less evolved because you feel grief or heartbreak or outrage. You are not bypassing love because you're struggling to access it. You're human. And the great spiritual traditions never asked us to pretend otherwise. It's okay to be mad. Hey, Jesus got mad. In fact, when he went into the temple in Jerusalem and saw the money changers and the merchants exploiting people, especially the poor, he didn't talk about it with his friends. He didn't go, oh, or hold space. He didn't say, oh, let's all just love each other. No. He overturned tables. He scattered coins. He drove them out. In John's gospel, it even says he braided a whip of cords. His anger was righteous anger, anger in the service of love, anger in the service of justice and protection of the vulnerable. Jesus was loving, but he was never passive. And he called out hypocrisy when he saw it. Moses got so angry when he came down from Mount Sinai, when he saw hypocrisy and lack of trust in the Lord, that he smashed the tablets. He spent 40 days and 40 nights up with communing with God, and he came down with the tablets. And he literally, those are the literal commandments of God. And he was so angry that he smashed them into a million pieces. The prophets weren't calm, they were fierce. So if you're feeling mad, if you're feeling disillusioned, if you're feeling heartsick or exhausted, you are in good company. And here's something we don't talk about enough. Anger isn't the opposite of love. In my opinion, apathy is. Anger arises because something we love deeply is being threatened. Justice, dignity, humanity, truth. So the question isn't, why am I angry? The deeper question is, what do I love that's asking to be protected? The monks aren't walking because they don't see the pain. They're walking because they do see it. They're not naive. They're not bypassing reality. They're just anchoring a frequency that says, we will not become that which we're fighting against. And now comes the hardest part, the invitation. Not the demand, not the moral obligation, not the invitation. It's the invitation to see the spark of the divine, even in those whose actions feel the most unloving. Now, let me be clear. This does not mean condoning harm. It does not mean excusing injustice. It does not mean staying silent or passive. It means remembering no one is entirely devoid of the light of the divine. Even when they are acting from ego, fear, unhealed pain. This doesn't let anyone off the hook, but it keeps us from being consumed by hatred. Because the moment that we declare somebody is completely soulless or entirely evil or entirely beyond redemption, we step into the same energy that created what we're witnessing. And that's a cost too high to pay. Seeing the spark doesn't mean agreeing. It means refusing to cut ourselves off from our own humanity. And you don't have to love everyone. Especially, you don't have to love everyone perfectly right now. You don't have to be serene. You don't have to be endlessly compassionate. You just have to be honest. Can you feel what you feel without turning it into cruelty? Can you be angry without being hateful? Can you stand for justice without hardening your heart beyond repair? Even the monks would tell you this is a practice. And some days you'll feel filled with grace, and sometimes you'll be barely holding it together. Sometimes you'll think you can't go on one more day with these feelings or this fear. All those days are okay. There's a line that I love. We are walking each other home. And the monks are reminding us that peace isn't something we try to argue our way into or try to force people to see it our way. It's something we embody step by step. Every time you choose to pause instead of react, every time you choose curiosity over contempt, every time you choose not to spew outrage just for the sake of outrage, you are walking for peace. Every time you hold your anger and your love in the same heart, every time you refuse to dehumanize anyone, even when it would be easier to just let her rip, you are walking for peace. So here's my invitation, not as a teacher, not as someone who has it all figured out, because I totally do not, but as a fellow human navigating this moment alongside you. Just ask yourself, where can I stay open without abandoning my values? Where can I let my anger inform me without letting it consume me? Where can I be a carrier of love, and not sentimentality, but real grounded love? And if today all you do is ruminate over those questions and not come up with answers, that's okay. Or just breathe and just not give up on yourself. That's enough for now. History tells us that massive awakenings rarely come quietly. Things rise to the surface so that they can be seen and ultimately healed or transformed. What if what we're witnessing is not the end, but the revealing? What if the intensity is not a sign that love is losing, but that love is being summoned? These monks aren't running from the darkness. They're walking through it. They're carrying light without needing to announce it. And people are responding not because they're told to, but because something in them recognizes truth. The monks are walking, and you are walking too, through your words, through your presence, through your willingness to keep your heart open. And maybe, just maybe, this really is the darkness before the dawn. And maybe the light doesn't arrive with a bang. Maybe it arrives quietly, in bare feet on the pavement, or in the tears on a police officer's face, or in a heart that chooses again and again to stay open and believe this all has a divine purpose, and we will see that purpose in our lifetime. Love you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.